If you had asked me 18 months ago what I would be doing today, this would not be it. As some of you know, I grew up at Town and Country. I grew up going to LRCA. I was actually ordained here. I won't tell you how long ago that was, because then you know I'm getting old. But we have not lived in the area, my family and I, my wife Melanie, my daughter Michaela, in a long time. And when we moved back a couple of years ago, it was supposed to be temporary. We had spent 8 years leading inner city ministries in St. Louis. And that is where we really fell in love with camp and the power of camp. We came to say that we did 51 weeks of ministry a year in the city to get our 1 week in the woods, because it made that much of a difference. We saw time after time when we went to camp, if you give kids a week to spend with God's people, in God's Word, in worship, prayer, fellowship, and fun, God shows up and He changes everything. And we saw that no matter where the camp was. We spent time at a rustic camp in Illinois that barely had electricity and water. We spent time at a little camp called Neotes in Missouri with our kids. It just didn't matter where it was. So when we left inner city ministry and we had a chance to go help turn around a camp in North Carolina, it was exciting. We were excited, even though we were going from the middle of the city to the middle of nowhere, because that was like the directions on the website. Like, when you get to nowhere, you go to the middle, you're at that camp. It was tiny. Nobody knew how to get there, but we were excited because we got to leverage the power of camp for kids. And we spent 5 years there making sure, again, the kids had the chance to spend a week with God's people in God's Word. And week after week, summer after summer, God showed up and He changed everything. Near the end of our time in North Carolina, we really thought that we were going to get to go back into inner city ministry. It's really where our heart is. And we thought God was opening up doors for that. We moved to Pennsylvania to help a camp there that actually worked exclusively with kids from inner city New York and Philadelphia. They were struggling. It was going to be a good fit. And that's around the time when my dad got really sick. We ended up moving back here to help my mom with my dad. And as some of you know, he passed away. But in the midst of all of that, we really thought, like I said, that this was a temporary thing. We had been working on putting together a ministry for the last 6 years, really since we left St. Louis, that would come alongside Urban Ministries and help them in the discipleship process. And it was something that we really thought was going to come together. In fact, in October of 2015, it was coming together. And in the fall of 2016, we were set to launch this ministry in Indianapolis. We had a neighborhood, we had partners. It was exciting. And then, as so often happened in my life, God redirected our paths. And while we were still in the area, I reached out to LRCA and I said, I'm only going to be here a couple more months, but I would love to help you guys because I see you struggling in some areas. And the short version of the story is, now I'm here. If you guys want to know what happened in that preceding year, I'd love to tell you, but it'll take some time and some details. But it has been a hard year. A lot of unexpected things have happened. God has brought us off of the verge of bankruptcy and given us enough time to turn things around. But as Bud Schroeder will tell you, there's still a lot of work to do. A lot of things that are going on, a lot of things that we're still addressing. And through the whole process, Town and Country, from its very inception, has been one of the most critical ministry partners that LRCA has had. It is a big deal what Town and Country has sacrificed for and contributed to the camp. Over all of the years of Town and Country's history, and that's no less true in this last year and even today. You have been a key part of making sure that kids have had the opportunity to take that week and spend it with God's people in God's Word. And God has been changing lives week after week, summer after summer, decade after decade, because of that, because of the sacrifices, because of your partnership. And so I want to start this morning by saying thank you. Thank you for making LRCA the special place that it is. Thank you for not giving up on camp in this last year when it would have been so easy to say no. I don't know how many of you guys know this, but when it looked like camp was done, that there was bankruptcy was the only plan forward, Town and Country was the first church to step up and lead the way, and several churches followed after that to make it possible in January of last year. And so it has been an amazing year to watch God use all the churches, but especially you guys here, to make a path forward. So you know that I believe that camp is a powerful ministry tool, but I especially believe that it's a powerful ministry tool for kids who are coming from hard places, kids who live in broken environments. Camp is a powerful experience for everybody, right? You get time away, which these days, it's hard. Anywhere you are is not really away until you put down the cell phone, right? You get new friends. You get time with old friends to reconnect. You get concentrated teaching. Sometimes you just get time to sit and reflect around a campfire on what God is teaching you. And that's just too rare in our world today. But for kids living in hard places, it's even deeper. For many kids, camp is the only place where they really experience for the first time the kingdom of God. And it's in ways that you might not even expect, ways that we often overlook. Some kids experience the kingdom by simply having 3 meals a day for a week straight. Stats say that an overwhelming amount of kids go hungry on a regular basis. And so just by providing that consistency, camp is a different place. Camp is a different place because for some kids it's the first time an adult has sat with them at a meal and asked about their day in their entire life. For some it's the family group time. That 2 or 3 times a day this group of people, adults and kids, get together on a regular basis during camp and talk through the day and talk about what they're learning and talk about what they're experiencing and get to ask questions. For some, it's simply the first time they've ever heard the gospel. And then for, hopefully, the rare few, it can be discipline. We had a kid this summer named Timmy. And Timmy is a great kid. I know Timmy because we're part of Impact on a regular basis and part of their Monday night programming. Timmy comes to Monday nights at Impact. And so I know for a fact that Timmy has heard the gospel on a regular basis. He's in junior high now, so he's been part of programming for a few years over there. And And he's heard the words, he knows the Bible stories, he knows the scriptures around the gospel. But this summer was Timmy's first chance to come to camp. First time his mom let him come to camp. And Timmy was in trouble every single day. Not just, I forgot my Bible somewhere trouble, but here's an adult, stay with this person trouble every single day. You would see Timmy, you would see his adult, whoever drew the short straw that day, right? And so the kids would be at the pool, Timmy and his adult. The kids would be at Gaga, Timmy and his adult. But a lot of times, Timmy and his adult were talking, right? It was probably the first time in Timmy's life that when he got in trouble, he wasn't screamed at, nothing was thrown at him, he wasn't called names, and he kept messing up, and he kept getting disciplined and grace. And so you would think at the end of that week, Timmy went home and said, I never want to do camp again, right? I was in trouble all week, I missed swim time, I had adults assigned to me. What a lame place that was. But that's just not Timmy's story. Camp is a place that God uses to break into kids' lives. And so, the end of that week wasn't marked by Timmy going home mad or in tears or with frustration. The end of that week was marked in baptism. In the beginning of a new life. And why does that happen? Why does that happen at camp? I think it happens, and if you want to turn to Deuteronomy chapter 30, we're going to spend a minute there in a second. But I think it happens because at camp, we echo, or we get a chance to echo what God has been saying for a long, long time. We get to show kids God's heart in an area that really, really matters. And so, in Deuteronomy chapter 30, we're going to look at verses 15 through the end of the chapter there. Chapter 15 says, chapter 30, verse 15 says this. See, I set before you today life and prosperity, death and destruction. For I command you today to love your Lord your God and walk in obedience to him and keep his commands, decrees, and laws. Then you will live and increase. And the Lord your God will bless you in the land you are entering to possess. But if your hearts turn away and you are not obedient, if you're drawn down and bow down to other gods and worship them, I declare to you this day that you will certainly be destroyed. You will not live long in the land you are crossing the Jordan to enter. There's a theme that runs throughout the Bible, and it is simply this. We have a choice that we don't deserve, by the way, between life and death, between blessings and cursings. And we see it starting in Genesis chapter 2, right? There's Adam, there's the tree of life, there's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. There's the choice. between life and death, between blessings and cursings. And so here we see it again, the undeserved choice between life and death. And it would be enough for God to say, here's life, here's death, you get a choice. But he doesn't stop there. Verse 19, he says this day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and cursings. Now choose life. God is not silent. God is not neutral in our decision between life and death, between blessings and cursings. His desire for our life is to choose Him, to choose life, to choose to follow, to choose to live the way we were created to live. That's His desire. It's His desire for us, and it's His desire for kids that come to camp. It's His desire for the kids that don't get a chance to come to camp because of money, or because of transportation, or because of where they live and who they're around. God desires for them to choose life. We see it in John 10:10, where Jesus tells us that the thief comes only to steal and destroy, but I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. In the Greek there is that, it is Zoe, when it's speaking of life, and it's that true, deep, full, real life that we were created for. It's why Jesus came. It's the part of camp that connects with God's heart as we hold out life to kids, as we show them glimpses of the kingdom, as they understand that Jesus died for more than just them to go to heaven, but for them to be with Him every day, to be reconciled to Him, to be reconciled to each other, to become who they were created to be. Jesus even gives us an example of how this happens. If you want to turn to John chapter 4, you guys probably all know this story by heart, right? John chapter 4, the woman at the well. John chapter 3, Jesus had been with John the Baptist, and John the Baptist says, "This is the Messiah. This is the one that I've been preparing the way for." And then Jesus leaves John, and he does something that no other Jewish religious leader would have ever done. He walks straight into Samaria. You see, Jesus spent his life making sure that people understood that he had life for them, that he was life for them, that he desired for them to choose to be with him. And so he goes into a place where no other religious leader would go, to a people that the Jews considered unclean and unworthy. But Jesus understood their need to be reconciled, to be known, to be accepted, to be loved. And so much of that happens at camp. As you spend time with each other, as you spend time in God's Word, as you spend time with new friends, as you spend time with old friends, as adults, take a week, sacrifice a lot of times a week of vacation to come be part of a kid's life. They start to understand that they are known and accepted and loved. And even in verse 17, where Jesus kind of calls the woman of the well out and says, when she says, "I have no husband," and he says, "You are right when you say you have no husband. The fact is you have had 5 husbands, and the man that you have now is not your husband. What you've said is quite true." Jesus wasn't just calling her out to call her out just for the sake of discipline. He was highlighting her need to be reconciled to God. And that would lead to a reconciliation with others, and it would lead to her doing what she was created to do. And that starts by realizing who God is and who we are. So in this chapter, John chapter 4, which, like I said, I haven't read a lot because I know that you know it, we see that Jesus goes to a place where people are hurting. He encounters a woman who feels like an outcast. He takes that opportunity to enter into a conversation with her. And he's met with sarcasm and anger, not unlike kids who are hurting. And when he tries to go deeper, she attempts to change the subject. Again, like kids who are hurting. And through it all, he is loving and patient, and he's bringing the conversation back to a place where she understands her need and is loved. At camp, all kids have a chance to experience just that on a regular basis. To work through some of the hurt, some of the anger. That a lot of times here in a church setting you can hide for an hour at a time, but it's really hard to hide it for a week. You can pretend everything's okay when you come to youth group, but man, when you have a family group leader that's with you for your meals and after your campfires and debriefing through the day, they get to really know you and accept you and make you feel loved, then some real stuff can happen. Then they can start to get a glimpse of the kingdom. Then they can start to hear, maybe for the first time, the gospel. Even though they've heard it 100 times before, their ears start to be opened. God is setting before us life and death, blessings and cursings. And we know that. We have heard that. We've made our choice. It will take a concentrated effort by a lot of people over an extended period of time to make sure that LRCA is a place for the next 90 years where kids continue to not just hear the words, but to feel the message. To understand on a new level that God knows them and accepts them and loves them deeply. That a different life is possible. So where do we start? What do we do? There's so much to do. Right, bud? So much to do. And the list really is pages and pages and pages long. So where do we start? We start in prayer. Because if we don't start there, we're done already. There's too much to do. It's too hard. The task is too important. And so we start on our knees, asking God to continue to lead because He has brought us this far. He is responsible for the last 90 years. He is responsible for the last year. He has been at work. He is at work. And we need to be able to continue to see Him and follow Him and partner with Him in what He would have us to do. So we start with prayer. And good prayer is always informed prayer. We have some new technology. We're always trying to communicate better. It's not always easy to do, and so we're going to throw a slide up on the screen here. Everybody have a cell phone? This is probably the only time that you're going to be asked to do this in the history of the church, right? Pull out your cell phone. Okay, we know you have them. And you're going to simply text to the number 51555. So that's the number you're texting. You're going to text the message, I love camp. It's all one word. Uppercase, lowercase, doesn't matter, whatever you want to do. But I love camp to 51555, and it's going to shoot you a little link. And when you fill out that link, you're going to be on our text list and our email list. As technology grows, people like to stay updated on a more regular basis. When we put out a newsletter on paper, they're really pretty and really nice, and we try to do them on a really regular basis, and they cost a lot of money. It's like $1,500 a newsletter to send it out, to get it printed, to get it put in the mail. They make you pay for the postage, I don't know. But it's really expensive to send a text out, pretty cheap. To send an email out, and so we can tell you what's happening on a regular basis or a more regular basis if you would do that. Once you get informed, you can be a voice for camp. Because not everybody just took out their phone and texted 51555, right? Not everybody did that. But if you did it, you can be a voice, and we need your voice. We need your voice in the congregation. We need your voice in the community. We need you to let kids know that the camp has a place for them. The camp is a great place to be. We need you to talk to parents and let them know that camp is a positive experience that they don't want their kids to miss. And then maybe a new one that hasn't been as big of a plea as it needed to be in the past few years is we need you. There are a lot of people sitting in this room that volunteer at camp on a regular basis, and we would be lost without them. And that's not like Matt's just up there saying they would be, no, we would be lost. Rachel and I would be crying somewhere. In fact, sometimes that happens anyway. But the work that's been accomplished in this last year, there was no way for us to do it without the volunteers that showed up. But we have to have more from somewhere, in some way. Last year, one of the scariest things that happened last year, and a lot of scary stuff happened last year, one of the scariest things that happened last year is even though we only had 378 kids come to camp last year, super low number, there were weeks of camp that we could not even take one more camper because we did not have enough volunteers to open up additional cabins for even one more camper with only 378 kids here. This summer we are preparing for 500, but we're not yet ready. The kids are signing up, they're coming, registrations are up over 30% at this point, which is right where we need to be to get to 500 kids. But we don't have enough counselors. Even weeks that have historically we've had to turn away counselors from, we don't have enough counselors. And so we need people that will spend a day in the kitchen or spend a week in a kid's cabin or spend some time in day camp at ABC and let us move some of our staff over and get creative or whatever. Whatever role you can play will make a difference because it will allow us to move things around. We're even looking still for full-time paid summer staff. Now I say paid and you think, wow, let's get a job. No, paid is like this much. But where else in the world can you go on a mission trip for an entire summer and get paid to do it? You don't have to raise a penny and you end up with, well, we call it a paycheck, but it's really just this thing at the end of at the end of every week. But we're looking for volunteers. We're looking for full summer staff. We're looking for someone who can come for a few hours in the kitchen or an entire week. And I don't know if you guys know this, but it's becoming more apparent this summer is going to get here, whether we find those volunteers or not. So again, if you find us crying, you know what's going on. We have to rebuild our donation base or our donor base. The hard fact is camp did not do a great job expressing the need for individual donors over the last few years. At the same time, trends were changing in the camping world. And most camps for a million years, for most of LRCA's history, for most of everybody else's history, their main donor base was churches. Missions committees gave to camp, and that still happens to some extent. But more and more missions committees are redefining what camp is and taking them out of missions budgets. Most camps have then gone to volunteers who have been personally impacted by camp, or alumni, or campers, or people within the congregations that know the power of camp and said, hey, we still have these bills to pay. And they've seen lots of camps between 2009 and today have tripled their amount in individual donations. We have not. We've not even stayed steady in our individual donations. And so as hard as it is, we have to go about not only rebuild our volunteer base, but rebuild our donor base as we try to inform people, as we stay grounded in prayer. It's going to take, as you start to see how big the task is in front of us, it's going to take all of us. But we can't lose sight of why. Yes, the mountain is big. Yes, the task is large. But when you take a week and you spend it in God's Word, with God's people, in worship, prayer, fellowship, and fun, God shows up and He changes lives. And He's done it for 9 decades through the ministry of LRCA. And we want this to be a place where He can continue to do that for 9 more. And so thank you for making this the place that it is. Thank you for partnering with us to bring us to today. And thank you for dreaming about what the future could hold. You are an important part of what will happen at LRCA.